Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us today to Livable Neighborhoods Good Neighbor session. And we are thrilled to have the new superintendent of USD 500, Dr. Stubblefield, to talk to us today a little bit about the school district and what's going on there and what to expect. And we're so happy to have you.
Hello, thank you for having me. On Friday, honestly, if I counted right, last Friday was my 50th day on the job, and everything has been moving at lightning speed since I started. There are a lot of things happening, and then in some aspects, people may feel like nothing is happening, just given the state of where we are. So we started school on Wednesday, August 11th, and all of our students are in person because of the legislation that was passed last spring in Kansas, where it says remote is not an option. We have provided a virtual option. We did provide a virtual options to families who did not want their students to be in person. And I believe all of our current slots are allocated for. However, if families still want to, we would definitely take their information and work with Greenbush Virtual Academy as space becomes available. We are really wanting to focus on learning, but first and foremost, we want to make sure that our staff and students are in a safe learning environment. And so therefore we have lots of mitigation strategies implemented on all of our campuses, which basically is masks are required, social distancing where we can in the different campuses, and providing information about what to do if you're experiencing symptoms or if you've been in close contact with somebody that is positive. This year, we are really focusing on rigorous tier 1 instruction. And what that means is that first teach that all of our students get from their core teacher. We're really focusing on the standards and making sure that we are providing the educational support that our students need before we start to try to provide interventions, because we need to know what we're intervening, what the students actually know, what they actually know and are able to do before we start to try to do interventions. As a new superintendent, one of the things that I think is important to me and what I've talked to the board is about is to really have a understanding of where the district currently is, both academically and operationally. So this year, we also are conducting from some outside sources, a complete academic and operations review to focus heavily on, so we can know what's working, what's not working, where there are gaps. Is our current organizational structure aligned with the outcomes that we intend? And is our students not only academically, are their needs being met, and do we have the right supports in place, but just as important, are their social, emotional, mental health needs being addressed in a manner given just the state of our world and what we have learned over the years, and for the betterment of our students and staff, have talked more publicly about the importance of mental health and well-being. So with looking at both our academic and operations side, one thing that I've really stressed is this is really about evaluating processes and systems, not people. It does not mean that, once we know where we are, then we can talk about if the right people are in the right seat or in the right place. But I don't want staff or community or people to think that this is a way to get rid of people. It really is so that myself, the team, and the board can know where we are as an organization. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I probably forgot something. Edwin will tell me, but I will pause and answer. Oh, one other thing. By now, and I'd hoped that I would have had an opportunity to have or host listening and learning tours throughout the district. So we are looking at definitely having some virtual listening learning tours for our staff, parents, and community members. But if we can do so safely, we will also host some in person if it's possible. So we're working on dates for that. And if we end up doing them all virtually right now, that's what we'll do. But if it's safe and we can do it in a manner that we can implement our mitigation strategies, we will definitely host some in person. So I will pause.
Dr. Stubblefield, would
Yes.
you address with them about what we are doing to mitigate the spread of COVID in our schools and a little bit more about the mask mandate that we have?
We have a mask mandate. We have hand sanitizer, and we have all of our staff are aware of what those mitigation strategies are. We do implement social distancing of 3 feet whenever it's possible. We have, and then we try to, at the elementary level more so than other levels, we keep the students more in with their classes and try to avoid crossover as much as possible. And when I don't have all those things in front of me, but we have the same mitigation strategies in place that we had last year. In order to be transparent to our community and our parents and our students, our staff, we are working on a COVID dashboard, which we will update probably on a weekly basis. And if we can do it more often, we will, of the number of positive cases that we have among staff and students. And we'll also do it by location. When we do right now contact anybody who is a close contact, but we do want to be transparent. It's not, when you see positive cases, it's not that we're doing anything wrong or we're not implementing our mitigation strategy. Unfortunately, it's just where currently where the country is, the state is, and our community is. But we do want to be transparent about what the number of positive cases within our campuses. So I'll pause and see if there are any questions for me.
Cases get worse.
I see Mr. Brownlee's hand up. Do you
Yes,
have?
ma'am. Is it mandatory for teachers to be vaccinated?
Currently, it is not. That is something that if it's determined, I'm not aware of any school districts that have a mandatory vaccination program. I do know in Kansas City, Missouri, and if I'm misspeaking, don't quote me on this, I believe they're requiring them to be vaccinated and or be tested on a weekly basis. That I think I've seen more in this area, but that is something that if we were going to move forward with it, either the board would have to make the decision that they want administration, being myself and my team, to make that decision, or I would have to talk to our legal counsel to see if that has to be a board decision. But currently it's not. I believe, Edwin, do you know, because the vaccination was offered to all of KCKPS staff last year, and I think somewhere, am I making this up, 80% of our staff was vaccinated? Or am I making this up at the time?
I didn't know the exact number. I will say that we and other school districts in Wyandotte County, we were all part of the first phase of the health department's vaccination process. And so we shared that within our school district, and people signed up. So as far as the number, I don't know, but here's something. Many of our teachers live in different communities across the metro area. So some of them may have gotten vaccinated in their own cities or in their own county. But in our district, I think we're definitely, I could say, a little bit close to maybe 50%. We would like more. I mean, we would like them to be more. But again, we don't have those exact numbers because, you know, we didn't ask people if they've been vaccinated or not, but we encouraged it.
So my second question is, since the FDA has approved that vaccine, that I believe it's the Pfizer one, will that strengthen the district's hand to, if they wanted to make it mandatory for teachers to be vaccinated versus, it being in the test stage or experimental stages? Would that make a difference since the FDA approved it this morning?
It honestly, I think it's always been an option for employers. That is something I think that the board and myself would have to engage in conversations with our legal counsel about what does it mean? How do we, do you do an and versus an ultimatum like Kansas, Missouri, either you be vaccinated or be tested weekly, but that is something that I would need to discuss with the board. It is always, it's an option legally, employers can require it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If the numbers go up again, do that mean they'll go back online, or how will they handle that?
So we don't, in the state of Kansas, have the option to go back online unless the legislators were to change what they passed last spring. The legislators passed last spring a law or statute, I may be using the wrong term, saying that school districts can only be remote for up to 40 hours. Anything beyond that takes special approval and could possibly impact funding from the state legislators. So remote is not an option beyond 40 hours, regardless of what the numbers say currently.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Stofield, when it comes to community events, whatever, like parades and so on, as far as participation from the different schools, is that going to be up to individual schools themselves, or will the board have saying on that?
So right now, what we have said as far as like participation in events and or field trips and those kind of things, that as long as our mitigation strategies that we have within schools can be followed, that the buildings or the students can participate as long as they follow our current guidelines to be a part of that. For example, in the state of Kansas, if you attend a mass gathering of more than 500 people where mask and social distancing can't, in an indoor event can't be, and maybe outside too, and you're not vaccinated, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So if any of our staff or students are wanting to go to such an event, if they're not vaccinated, we're saying they can't attend because it's an automatic quarantine for, like, one of the example that I can give is when the Garth Brooks concert, because there was no social distancing and there was no mask, anyone who attended that wasn't vaccinated, that lived in the state of Kansas, should have quarantined for 14 days after that event. So if that is the case, we're saying, no, they can't participate unless they're vaccinated and or can, with fidelity, implement the mitigation strategies of masking and social distancing.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Stubblefield?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Earlier you said that you can only do the virtual for 40 hours?
Remote learning, yes.
Remote
Up to
learning.
40 hours.
Okay, so if a student is exposed to COVID, don't they have to stay out of school for, is it 10 days or 14 days?
It's 10 or 14, it just depends on the circumstances. So with that, students are marked excused. They have access to their assignments through Canvas, which is our learning platform. And someone from the staff is making meaningful contact at least one time a day. When they return, they'll be given an opportunity to make up anything that they've missed. We cannot allow students to remote in the classroom because that is considered remote learning, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Andrea, once we get the dates of the listening and learning tours, we will let you know. I will send that to you.
Okay, great. Dr. Stubblefield, is there anything else that you would like to share with us about sort of your vision and your plans moving forward? Maybe even with the thought of, you know, if you remove COVID, what just your vision and thoughts and wishes are for the school district moving forward?
Absolutely. Our theme this year was rebound, reimagine, and renew. I probably messed up the R's, Edwin, but we really want to rebound from what we experienced the last year and a half and reimagine what school can look like for our students in order to make it more engaging and provide them with real world learning opportunities. In order for them to be able to pursue their dreams, whatever they may be. So that means that we're going to have to do some things differently because I loved school when I was in school, which is why I'm in education. But I also have siblings and friends that it didn't work for them. And so I want students like myself who just love the traditional path of school and to have that option, but also knowing that a lot of our students that's not working for them. So how can we reimagine what school looks like in order to demonstrate, what their gifts and talents may be. So after the academic review and while we're going through like what we have to do to show up for our students, I do really want us to reimagine what learning looks like and what engaging our students look like and how do we meet their social, emotional, and mental health needs while simultaneously solidifying a solid academic foundation. So when they leave high school, they'll have options and choices and not like be forced into certain things because they're not prepared. So my hope is that we will create a very transparent accountability system so that parents and community can hold us accountable, we can hold ourselves accountable, and we'll have data to demonstrate, when we're making decisions and what is happening with those decisions and when we need to adjust and pivot, we're making it with sound data and meeting the needs of our students. And also, talking directly to our students and our parents to see what, from their perspective, we can do to make learning more engaging for them.
Thank you. Are there any questions about that? Would you also be able to maybe share with us any thoughts that you have as to how our neighborhood groups and community members can partner with the school and engage with the school on efforts to help our students?
Absolutely. So one of the things I mentioned was real world learning opportunities for our students. And as we flesh that out, depending on what businesses you have, what organizations you're connected with, we will probably be sharing out like, hey, we're looking for somebody in the area of construction, or we're looking for somebody in cosmetology, or we're looking for an attorney or an engineer, so that our students can have real world experiences with those that are in fields or in fields we haven't even thought about. And then I also think as we disseminate information and have more ways to provide the communication, when we share it with you, when you hear people either seeking or searching for information or trying to figure out how they can connect, my hope is that we can definitely leverage groups such as this and organizations such as this to help us to disseminate information and to get feedback from you on what you're hearing in the neighborhood. So I think just being the partners that you are and sharing information when you hear about it, and also being a pathway for like some two-way communication so that we can make sure the needs of our families and our students are being met.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? It's a quiet group tonight.
It's a hot day. People are probably drained.
Yes. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to cover?
Not at this time. I thank you for hosting me and inviting me and providing me an opportunity to share some information with you. And I look forward to talking to you in the future. Edwin, did I forget anything?
I think you covered everything.
Okay, well, if we don't have any more questions, you guys have made it a quick night again.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. And if you would like for us to come back, just let me know and we will schedule that.
That would
Well,
be
thank
great.
you for coming and your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, Mario.
Everybody be safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.